title later. Thank you, Fanta, for bringing it so I can record. Yeah, so there's some things, that we have to understand. We have only a certain amount of time, and there's things that are in us that we're not dealing with. And, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not. But I will tell you this. I will tell you that the King of the universe has expectations. And you and I are going to have to meet those expectations in order to be around him. That's what it is. This Torah portion this week, talking about the key Tetze, when you go out. And there's a whole bunch of different things he talked about. We found out about, taking a captive wife. We talked about, sexual conduct, the things that you should and you should not do. There's some judgments in there. We talked about the rebelliousness of a son. We talked about what happens if you found a daughter who was being foolish as well and playing the prostitute, prostituting herself while she's underneath her father's house, and what happened to her. And, she was put to death. So you see this balance and you see this fairness that Yah has about everybody, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. If you don't fit the community in terms of the way that you live your life, you have to go. Yatsa, you got to go. You got to leave. Yah talks about bringing these things out of the community. You have to come out of it. He says you got to burn it up. Uviarta from Bakira Baka, meaning from in the midst of you, you have to burn this up. So we're looking at this, go, well, man, that was tough. People are getting killed. People are being brought out to the gate. The elders are making decisions. The parents have to make a decision. Do we want to kill our son? Do we want him to be put to death? And that was very difficult for those parents. It's very difficult for them. They had to make that decision. And those are tough decisions, but they have to be made. When a man found a woman, he is based on what she looked like and the frame of her body. It wasn't just how her face looked. It was based on what her shape was. He was conceived, he was interested in what he saw on the outside. But then it talked about if he found something and she was displeasing to him, even in the marriage, if he found something, yeah, something inside. We got those examples, we got this idea of secrets, people, going, having, marital affairs, and both of those people being brought out and being killed. And we got people who are being caught in the act, depending on whether or not a woman was betrothed or not, the virgin was betrothed. She would, they would live, but the other people who were betrothed and they had, intercourse and she didn't say anything, she's going to die. So we're seeing this. We see that, what you see with your eyes. Your brother, he's in a situation and you found some things that belong to him, you're supposed to keep it. And you're supposed to have custodial responsibility over that which belongs to your brother. You see? So these are all the things that we find in the Torah this week, which is amazing. Today, I want to talk to you about our king. I want to talk to you about King David. I didn't know this until I was studying, and it matched exactly. It matched exactly to the Torah. Exactly. So I don't have it up. Let me see. Maybe I should bring this up first. I'm gonna bring it up before I go into the presentation so you can see what I'm saying. In the Torah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, cool. Get your pen and paper handy because you're going to learn something. All right, in our Torah portion, is in chapter number, what, 21, I believe it is, where it begins, or 20 or 21. Somebody remember? So you're the teacher, you should know.
21.
21, okay, 21:10, I believe. All right. Oh, yeah. Here you go. The first sentence is, when you go out to war. I want you to remember that. When you go out to war against your enemies and Yahweh hands them over to you, and you take prisoners, and you see among the prisoners, okay, which is a captive, a woman who looks good to you, right? And you feel attracted to her as your wife, right? And you're going to bring her home to your house. She will shave her head, cut her fingernails off, remove her prison clothing. She will stay in your house, mourning her father and mother for 30 days, after which you may go to have sexual relations with her and be her husband, and she will be your wife. All right. So I want to share with you a story today about a wonderful man that you all have come to know and love. And he is called King Dawid. Okay. King Dawid. Why are you laughing, Dawid? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? I'm laughing because what we've learned about Dawid is misinformation. Really, we haven't been told the full story about Dawid. You know, he's our king, and Dawid is going to be the king in Israel when Yahweh gathers all 12 tribes and bring them back to Yerushalayim. Not one tribe, not two, not five, all 12, meaning every last one of the sons of Yaakov, in order to restore them back to their heritage and give them their fortunes that they deserve. What we're going to discover today is that there were some things about King Dawid that Yah wants to bring out to us, especially because his descendants will be rulers over us. And he's the best example of why you and I need to get rid of certain things out of our life. That's why I chose to bring this out today. To your left-hand corner there, you see a word called milkama, okay? Milkama, okay? And milkama means, it's right here, means war, okay? It's war. That's what milkama means, war, okay? Or it means a battle, okay? And then once there's a war and there's a battle, you and I are going to have to learn that somebody is going to have to surrender. You have to surrender. All right. So let's get started. Let's get started with this. So there's a battle. Just a story. There's a battle there. Let me see here. In a war. And the text says this. It says, in the spring, at the time when kings go out to war, Dawid sent out Yoav, his servants who were with him, and all Israel. They ravaged the people of Ammon and laid siege to this place called Rabbah. But Dawid stayed in Yerushalayim. This is a wonderful example of what not to do. Well, actually, I believe it was purposeful. There's a reason behind Dawid staying behind in Yerushalayim. At first, we're thinking, well, he's just being lazy. He's enjoying the position of being a king. Dawid has had plenty of wars. You know, Shaul is dead. He doesn't have to worry about, being chased anymore. Yah has anointed him to be king, has enthroned him upon that seat, and given him the responsibility to look after Yahweh's people. Out of this in particular text here, I've taken all of the words that are in here and put them on the side for you. So for example, this word in the spring, okay? Spring is going to deal with this here, return, okay? And then also when the kings, the time to go out to war, I'm using that right here. And we're going to talk about the kings, of course, because that's when the kings go out. And then also too, that Dawid, he stayed in Yerushalayim. Okay, he dwelled in Yerushalayim. And then finally, I want to talk to you about the war, which is the Lachem. Okay, the Lachem. I'm going to talk to you about each one of those things. I'm going to break it out for you so you can fully understand. I know usually I'll have up Hebrew words up here, but I thought today let's switch it up a little bit. And so you can learn the Hebrew through going through English first, and then we'll go to the Hebrew. All right. So when I looked this up, there's this word return has to do with spring. Okay. Off the top, I need class participation. Why would you think that the word return is for the spring?
Because that's when you're supposed to return back to the land.
Okay, that's an excellent deal. Also, at the time of spring, they return, right? Everything that was dead comes back in the spring. Okay. These are the things that we're going to learn. All right. So let's get into it. So the return here is from this word that we've been dealing with for our Torah portion this week called shuv. Okay. Shuv. And again, shuv has to do with the idea of a captive, has to do with being, made to be a captive. Okay. Or taken as a prisoner. Okay. Right. And what do you remember about me telling you about a captive and prisoner? Well, if you don't remember, you're in the East. This is where you start. They take you over to the West, or from one land to another land. Okay. And once they do that, they strip you of everything and they make you naked. This is where you used to sit. This is where you used to dwell. This is where you used to live. Okay, back in this place, all these areas. Okay, so this idea of being a captive is being taken from a place where you're dwelling and sitting and you're living and you're clothed and you're living the way that you normally live. And now they're taking you to another place. And the first thing they do is they make you naked. Okay, and they imprison you. And they strip you of everything you have. Okay. So this idea of shuv is the root for the word return. Okay. It means to return. And also too, this word is also used for the word repent. Because you're going to turn back to a previous place or state. Okay. Another position. So in context, what this is talking about is David was supposed to go ahead and, because he's a king, he had a responsibility to turn back, to go to a previous place or state. As a ruler, there's times where you have to go to war, and those times are done in the springtime. Okay. And the word that they use there for the spring is not shuv. Shuv is the root of the word. Okay. The true answer to this is the word that we're going to get here called teshuvah. Okay, teshuvah has the same root in it. It has the shin, it has the wah right here, and it has the bet, and then it's added. So we got the shin, the wah, and the bet. That's shuv. S-H-U, and then the V. Okay, shuv. Here's the ta, and here's the hey on the end. Those are added. Okay. This word right here is used for the word spring. Springtime, which is interesting. So to kind of go with the idea that you said, Yared, if Yah was going to do anything, and he's going to turn somebody back to a position where they need to go back to, is generally going to be in the springtime. Because everything in spring is fresh and it's new. And it's the beginning. Okay. So there's a connection there. Okay. So when you think about captivity and you think about, being restored, more than likely, okay, Yah's deliverance will be in the springtime. It will be in the spring. And here's the reason why. When did he bring the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim?
In springtime.
In springtime. Okay. In the word aviv, and here in English, IBIB, these are called aviv. They're transferred because of the sound. Okay, it means exactly Aviv and Aviv is the same thing. They just pronounce different. The word Av is in there, and the word Av means father inside of the word Aviv. So the father is the one who brings things forth in the springtime. Okay, that's what it is. Also within the word Aviv is this letter right here, I, which is a yod, meaning his hand. Okay, so the father's hand is in the springtime. See, because that's when things begin. It's the first of everything. And this is why Yah has always said that, even our Torah portion, you can't lose your right as a firstborn, because Yah considers the firstborn to be the strength of everything. It's the beginning of someone's strength. Okay. So this is the reason why too, if it is the beginning of the strength of that in particular season, he says, I want that. So I want the strength out of the ground, right? Which has to do with the fruits and the vegetables. I want the strength that comes out of your body, right? From the seed of the man. That's what I want. Okay. I want the strength of the animal life, right? I want the seed that came from them. I want the first of everything. Okay. And the only way that you can give the first to Yahweh with a sense of, honesty and truthfulness is that you have to be a certain type of person. This word teshuvah is also used for you, because this right here in Hebrew, the letter ta means you when it's used in the beginning of a word and sometimes at the end. Shuvah right here, the shuv right there is to return. Okay. And the ah right here, which would be right here, right? This is feminine. That's that ah. Okay. And that ah lets you know that it has to do with the soul. So what Yah is asking you to do is to return your soul. Okay. That's what I want you to return. I want you to return your soul to me. But there's been some difficulties with understanding how to do that. And the reason why is because there's something that is hindering or blocking us from doing so. Okay. So that's what shuv means. The next part is to go out. That is part of our Torah portion this week. We talked about yatzah. Yatzah. Okay. 3 letters, the yod, the zadi, and the aleph. Okay. And it means to go out, come forth, and discharge. Right? So basically, it's something that's inside that has to come out, or go forth, or discharge. You're inside of another city, you're in a different place. Yah says that when you come out, give me an example of what did Yah do for the children of Israel when they were in Mizraim?
He brought them out.
Yeah, I brought you out. Okay. I brought you out. Right? Because you were what? You were stuck in what? You're stuck under pressure. Because that's what Mizraim means. Mizraim, Mitzrayim. This word right here, the TZ, R right here, Tsar, that word right there means pressure. That's what it means. It means being pressed. Okay. Pressure, pressed. You're pressed. There's a lot of pressure on you. Okay. I need to bring you forth from your pressure. You see? So when I asked you to, and you remember, he continued told us in our Torah portion, I need you to remember that you were a what? What I want you to remember that you were a what?
A slave.
You're a slave. I want you to remember that you were a slave, because if you remember that you were a slave, you will remember that you were being pressed. And what you were looking for and what you were desiring were to be relieved of that pressure. So when I came and got you and I took you out from there, and you came forth out of there, I relieved the pressure on you. I asked you to keep the Shabbat. Why? Because this whole week, 6 days, you've been under what? Talk to me, somebody. You've been under pressure.
Mhm.
I don't want you to be under pressure. I don't want your servant, your employees to be under pressure. I don't want the widow and the fatherless and the Lewi and the stranger. I need you to take off the pressure. You understand? Yatsa. I don't need you to bind the woman that I told you once you found her and you didn't like her anymore. Don't bind her. When you bind something, you got to put it under pressure. All praise and glory be given to the living Elohim. I need you to relieve the pressure. You see, when you're acting a fool in the community, you're putting pressure on your parents as a drunkard. You're putting pressure on your family when you're playing a prostitute. You're putting pressure. If your brother, you saw your brother with his ox falling on the ground, he's under pressure. You go and relieve your pressure off your brother. You lend money to any of my people. You don't apply pressure. You don't apply pressure to my people. You don't, because the loan that you just gave them, when they were under pressure, you relieved them. You don't add any interest to the loan because the interest on the loan is biting them. That's what that interest means, is to bite. That's what it is. Don't put nobody that's in my environment under pressure. What's inside has to come out. Listen to this. That's going to be our theme for the rest of this teaching. Ask the Most High today, like, okay, well, what do you guys, I get so nervous when I have to teach. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't. I really don't know how I'm going to do it. But what's inside? What's inside must come out. The Hebraic meaning of the word yatsa, everyone, has to do with excrement. That is the original meaning of this word. It has to do with a bowel movement. What do you got to use? And I'm not defiling the Shabbat. What is it? It's a normal process. It's a cleansing process. It's a process of elimination. Okay? Listen how our Elohim, who loves us, is going to tell you and I what it is. I want you to understand through this word, yatsa, that it means that you need to do an excrement. I said, yeah, all the time he said you need to get this stuff out of the middle of you. What are you talking about? And it came to me. Yatsa. It's called elimination. It's the Torah is even built into your body. Yah has given us a body to get rid of filth and that which can make you sick. What you put in has to come out. So let's look at how this process happens, because elimination is a process. You have in your body waste products that can cause problems for every other organ inside of your body. You understand? You and I have to get rid of things. Yah has used the process of elimination through excrement to tell us in your own body, there's some things that are inside of you that need to come out on a regular basis. You understand? I need you to get rid of it. Never saw that, have you? Well, the reason why we haven't seen it is because we don't understand the language. You don't understand the culture. But you and I have to go through this process. So when Yah talks about getting rid of certain individuals outside of the community, is because he's looking at them as their excrement. Your actions, your deeds, your thoughts, your desires, all these things that you and I have is excrement. Excrement. And if we don't have the right type of what you would say, and I put it in nutritional form, if you're not putting the right stuff in, it could be really stinky. Yah's saying, I need you to get rid of things. All right. That's what I need you to get rid of. That's what Yatsa means. So if you just look about, what you did in your Torah portion this week, you see Yah saying it. He says, once you send this woman away from you because of something that you found that was unclean in her, and actually that uncleanness is not the word uncleanness there. It's really about a nakedness. It was something about how she lived. It was about something, how she presented herself. And the man is, if he didn't like it, he didn't agree with it. He's like, look, I don't like that. But he says, once you put her out, you can't come back and take her back in when she's been with another man. You can't mix it. There is no mixing. Okay. Of the what? Of the seed. So when I told you can't plant two different types of seeds, you can't wear two different types of clothing, I'm telling you right now that there's no mixing. You got a woman, okay? The woman is the earth. She's a picture of the girth and the ground, because that's where the seed is planted. So when you got one man with some seed, he puts his seed inside of her. And then all of a sudden you got another man with another type of seed he puts inside of her. You understand? This is called defilement. I don't want that, because I know when you mix these two seeds together and then she comes back to you and try to put your seed back in again, you're mixing the seeds. I don't want that. So make sure if you're going to get rid of your wife, then you make sure that, you can never take her back. Make sure before you bring your son to the gate that you're going to have him know he's going to be killed. Make sure that you really try to give him every effort and opportunity. What is y'all teaching us? I've done all that I can. There's coming a point where there's some things that I just can't, we can't do it no more. It's time for you to go. What does the Torah say? What was in our Torah portion about this idea of excrement? He says you must include a trial with your equipment. And when you relieve yourself from what? The pressure, you are to dig a hole first and afterwards cover your excrement. That's Yatsa. The word for excrement is Yatsa. For Yahweh, your Elohim, moves about in your camp to rescue you and to hand over your enemies to you. Therefore, your camp must be kadosh. It must be a kadosh place. Yahweh should not see anything indecent among you, or he will turn. Shuv away from you. Well, I'm not in war, so this doesn't apply to me. This is the Old Testament. No, if you understand the Torah, you'd understand that Yah's giving messages to people through behaviors, actions, customs, conduct, all those things. Diet, I'm talking to you. I'm telling you who I am. And I'm going to let you know today that if I find something that is in you that you left outside
on the plate, Anna,
on the ground for me to look at, no, I want it out of my sight. Therefore, I will shove away from you. They would lose. So you're telling me that they would actually lose a battle because somebody defecated in the camp? What kind of Elohim are we talking about? What kind of entity is this? What kind of power is willing to walk away from a group of people who are about to go to war because somebody yatsa and didn't cover it up? He says to go outside the camp, not inside. Outside. And when it's outside, I need you to cover it up. You see, any uncleanness in our Torah portion, any uncleanness, a man had a seminal emission of his seed. His seed came out on him in the middle of the night. He had a seminal emission. He has to go outside of the camp and wait until the evening before he comes back in to let you know when a day ends and when a day starts. The day doesn't start in the evening, folks. It starts at the sunlight and it ends when the sun sets. That's the day. Okay. That's in the Torah. because he's saying to you, I don't want to see it. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. This is the foundation of what this whole thing here about Dawid is. I'm going to show you the real Dawid, who he really is. You understand? He's number one, he's a king, and a king is someone who's supposed to be a messenger. That's what a king is. He's not just a king, he's a messenger. It's in the name. Ha in Hebrew is what? Somebody tell me. Don't make your teacher look bad. What is it?
The
There you go. Somebody came to class. The Malakim, the kings. Okay. The Hey right here. H, you learn in Hebrew. Mem right here for the letter M. The Lamed, the letter L. Kaf right here for the K. And the final Mem is right here. Final means because it's final, the one on the end. So you get a Hebrew class today, right here, final. It's the last letter. It's the final letter in the word. Okay. So English letters, Hebrew names. Okay. Here's the Hebrew way it looks. Here's the Mem. Here's the Lamed. Here's the Kaf. And here's the final Mem. Period. That's it. All this is just different script. That's all it is. No big deal. Ha Malakim. Okay. So the Ha Malakim here, again, these are the names. That's all this is up here, the names of those letters. And they all mean something, okay, which is significant. So the Ha Malakim, what about the Ha Malakim? Why did you say that they're the messengers? Because in the word Melech, which is king, you got this word called Malak, which is messenger. So you got, just change the vowels underneath it. This is king up here, Melech and Malak. The Melech and Malak share the same letters, an M, a L, and a K. Okay. And I ain't talking about Martin Luther King. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is within the word Melech or Malak, you have this word here. These letters together mean to walk. This letter right here in Hebrew means from. So from, walking. So usually a person who's walking is a person who's walking from somewhere to some other place. And when they're walking, they're delivering a message for someone else. This is the reason why a malach, not an angel, is called a messenger, because they're delivering a message. You see? So the king shares the same root, and so does a queen. They all share the same root. So a king is a melech. Okay. Then you have a malach, which is a messenger, or they call an angel. It's not, it's a messenger from Yah. And then you have a malka. And a malka is an M and an L and a Kaf here. And then they had a Ah. That's a queen. You see? So they all share the same letters, except for this Ah right here to tell you it's feminine. Okay. Same letters. And their lives are supposed to be the message. This is why in our Torah portion last week, to talk about the king is supposed to read the Torah. That's what it talked about, right? The king is supposed to read the Torah how often? How often?
Daily.
He's supposed to be daily.
Every day, daily.
Every single day. You understand? So this is what we have to remember. Okay. We have to remember that the king is supposed to do this. So he's literally the messenger of the Torah. Right? So what do we find inside of these kings? Hey, could you guys put your device on? I'm getting some feedback. If you're not speaking, put it on mute for us. It unfortunately breaks my thought process. Thank you. So what do we have here? Here. Here you go. Bingo. I got you. All right. So what's inside? Because remember, our theme is about pressure, and it's about what's inside. Because what's inside causes what? It causes pressure. Okay. So what's inside these kings? Well, I took the liberty to write out or bring a copy of the children of Israel and the nation and their kings. Okay. As you can see right here, each one of these kings, there's some good kings and there's some bad kings. You need to know this. Shaul, he ruled for 40 years. David ruled for 40 years, and Shlomo ruled for 40 years. Okay. I found it interesting that they don't tell you that these were good or bad or nothing. They don't tell you about them. Okay. They only tell you about these other kings, right? They don't go into who's good and who's bad here. Okay. So estimate, you would think that Shlomo, in some ways, he had some good things about him, right? But what were some of the bad things about Shlomo?
He built temples for other.
Yeah, he was idol worshipers, okay, idols, and he did that. What about David?
David stole another man's wife.
Okay, so David did a lot of things, right?
Murder.
He did murder, right? He's a murderer, right? And then you got Shaul. What did Shaul do? He disobeyed Yah's order. He was concerned about how the people felt. He got moved by the people, but he did some good things too. Shaul did good things. He was good and bad. David did good things, good and bad. Shlomo did some good things and some bad stuff. See? So what do we see here? You got good and bad, right? Check this out. The kings of Judah on the side over here, it tells you that Judah, it tells you that Judah and Benjamin are the only on that side, right? They were together and the rest of the 10 tribes are on this other side. Okay. There's a reason why these two are together, and I'm going to explain that just in a second. There's seven good kings. And out of this so-called good, what's the word for good in Hebrew?
Oh,
Tov. Thank you. And Tov means what?
Functional.
Functional. Okay. Bad is Ra. And Ra means what?
dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional. Good. So you have that which is functional and that which is dysfunctional. You only had 7 kings over here who were doing things that were the right way. Okay. And they had some stuff, they had problems too. Okay. The longest ruling one right here is Uzziah, and he ruled for 52 years. He's the longest ruling king. And Uzziah means Yah is my strength. Okay. So the other kings over here, they ruled too for 22, 2, 7. I mean, not that long, right? Then some are a little bit longer than others. Here's the point, is that you're going to have in the kingdom, they had that which was functional and that which is dysfunctional. And even in the so-called good right here, there was dysfunction. There still was dysfunction. Yah had a problem with, what's his name? Yashayahu right here. Yah had a problem with him, even though he was good. He cried out to Yah. Yah had a problem with him. Yah had some problems with Hezekiah. He had problems with Uzziah. He had problems with all of his kings. And the reason why he had problems with them is because they were human, but they had things inside of them. Okay, inside. I want you to keep that inside thought, because what's inside has to come out. Okay. Well, what does this got to do with the Torah? We've been talking about it. There's things that are inside. All right. So the reason why the tribe of Judah and Benjamin are together, everyone, is simply because they understood that it was important to have alliances. And what happened is that David, he had an alliance with Jonathan, which is Shaul's son, which I told you earlier this week about this word chesed, meaning, to be merciful and to show some type of kindness. Okay. So in this, you will find that alliances are important. The alliance that we have here between the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin are based upon the covenant that Jonathan and the family of David made when David was being chased by Shaul, which is Jehonathan's father. It says, however, you are to show me Yahweh's kindness, is Kased, not only while I'm alive, so that I do not die, but also Yahweh has eliminated every one of David's enemies from the face of the earth. You are to continue showing kindness, Kased, to my family forever. Thus, Jehonathan made a covenant with David, with the family of David, adding, may Yahweh seek its fulfillment even through David's enemies. So that's the reason why those two tribes are together, and they will always be together, is because there was a covenant that was made between them, because the friendship and the alliances that were made between these two families and these two brothers. Okay. And so, David was pressed out of Jehonathan's father's sight because, Shaul didn't like him. He hated him and he was jealous of him. Okay. So when we look at the Torah, and you talked about friendship and alliances, right? We look at that, even though there's alliances, there's always going to be opposition. Okay. There's always going to be some form of opposition. In our Torah, we found out that Yah says that no Amani, no Moavi may enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor may any of his descendants down to the 10th generation even ever enter the assembly of Yahweh. Okay. Some people have read this and said that, oh, it's down to the 10th and then they can come in. That's not true. Yah says they are never to come in because they did not supply you with food and water. Okay. There's no alliance. There was no support. And when you were on the road leaving Mizraim, and because they hired Balaam, the son of Beor from Pithor in Aram, the Naharaim, to put a curse on you, but Yahweh your Elohim would not listen to Balaam. Rather, Yahweh your Elohim turned Shuv, the curse, into a blessing for you, because Yahweh your Elohim loved you. So you are to never seek their peace or well-being as long as you live. Never. Okay. So there's going to be opposition, right? Why am I reading this? Why is this part of this conversation? Because as you can see, there's opposing forces to us that are outside, external enemies. Okay. But there's also those things about us that can be in opposition, right? And you and I are the ones who can choose to either make an alliance with someone, or you can understand that you are going to have enemies and you're going to have opposition. You got to know who your enemy is before you start making alliances. That's my point. Okay. I'm using this type of language because we were talking about kings. All right. David here now is the one who's dwelling in this city of Yerushalayim. This is where he's dwelling. Okay. He decided to stay. Okay. And the word stay, of course, is translated to dwell. There's a Hebrew word for it that we're going to learn about. But I want to let you know that he was supposed to go to this place called Rabbah. And Rabbah means many. Like Toda Rabbah, right here. It means many. It means increased. It means multiplicity. It means, an abundance. Okay. That's what it means. It means abundance. He was supposed to go to this place to defeat it, but he didn't. Right. So he decided to dwell and stay back at home. And now we're going to get into it. There is a hidden battle that David had to fight. And this is something that you and I have to understand about what you and I are involved in. Whether you want to believe it or accept it or understand it, you're going to have to come to the conclusion that you are in a battle. Your battle might not be in Ukraine. Your battle might not be in China. Your battle may not be just at your job. Your battle might not be just in your marriage. Your battle is within. And here it is. Once, and this is in 1 Samuel chapter number, no, it's not 1 Samuel, forgive me, 2 Samuel. Didn't put the other one there. It's 2 Samuel chapter number 11. It says, once after this afternoon nap, and I left that there on purpose because that's not true. It wasn't an afternoon nap. They got their word afternoon there, but that's not true. The word is really called a rev. And what's a rev?
Evening.
It's evening. How many evenings are there?
2.
Okay. So there's 2 evenings. Okay. I'll use our board right here. Is that? Here's the sunrise. And here's the sunset over here. Okay, that's what it is. So the sun rises, goes over here. This whole time is called the day. Okay, then I'm gonna put a line across right here, and it means underneath here is the night. Okay, there's on this end over here is called a rev, and on this end is over called a rev. Oh, forgive me. Erev. Okay. That means a mixing between light and darkness. That's what a rev means. My handwriting is horrible. Forgive me, you guys. A rev. It means mixing of light and darkness. That's why you get those colors in the sky. Okay. Night in Hebrew is called Lila. Day is called what?
Okay.
Yom. Yom. So you got Yom and you got Lila. Okay. So Yah calls the day Yom. Okay. Which he actually called day Or. Okay. Or is the first name that Yah gave it, which is light. Then he changes his name from Or and he calls it Yom. Okay. Lila's real name in Lila, that's her final name. But before that, it was Koshek. So when Yah decided he created Or, he created light, and then he named the light Yom. And we have an English day. Okay. So the real true name of the day is Or. It's light. Okay. The true name of darkness is Koshek. Okay. But Erev is a mixing between the two. Right. And so there's two of them, one like probably at 5 o'clock in the morning, the other one over, and it goes different. It goes through a blending time. Just wanted to throw that out for you so you'll know the difference between day and night. Okay. So going back to this idea of this hidden battle, I know sometimes I go off, but I got to give you understanding. He didn't take a nap in the afternoon. He took a nap in the evening. That's what he did. And it'll make more sense to you. Dawid got up from his bed in the evening and he went strolling on the roof of the king's palace. And on the roof, he saw a woman bathing. Okay. Now remember, our Torah portion opened up with what? When a man goes out to what? War. And he what? Sees a what?
Catholic woman.
Sees a woman that he like takes pleasure in. Like, I want her. There's a certain procedure that he's supposed to go. But Dawid is not literally, you and I would say, well, he's not at war. He's in Jerusalem. No, Dawid is in a battle. Yah left Dawid at home. Yah calls Dawid to be at home because there's another war that Dawid is supposed to fight. And we're going to get into that. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So there's a war. So Dawid sees this. According to our Torah portion, he sees a woman that he says is very beautiful. Okay. And so he saw her completely naked. He's like, oh, yeah, I want her. Dawid made his inquiries about the woman. He sent messengers. And in Hebrew, a messenger is a malakim. They're not angels. Okay. They're messengers. Okay. They could be divine messengers. They could just be, kingly, royal messengers. Dawid sent messengers to make inquiry. So he sent someone with a message. And the message that he sent was to the woman. Okay. See? So he sent messengers about the woman. So they went to go find out who she was, right? And they told her, what's going on over here? And they told her, let me see here. Why is this doing crazy? And they told her what he wanted. Okay. Follow me. She was called Bathsheba. The word Bath means what? Daughter. Thank you. Sheva, if you can remember, means what? It's a number.
7.
7 in Hebrew means oath. So she's a daughter of oath. Okay. And she's a daughter of this guy, Eliam. Eliam means my Elohim of the people. Because Eli means my Elohim and Am is people. And she was the wife of Uriah, the Kittite. Okay. She's the wife of this guy called Uri. His name is not Uriah. His name is called Uriah. That's his name, Uriah. Okay. We're going to spend a little time talking about Uriah because there's a reason why Yah chose Uriah. Okay. The Kitty. I got Hittite up there, Hitty, but it's really called Kitty. Chittiti. Kitty. Okay. So let's talk about Uriah and why did Yah choose Uriah? And why is his name that? Look at his name. Your name is what in Hebrew? What is name? It's your what?
Character.
It's your character. And it's something about you. Okay. That's what his name means. His name comes from the word, which we learned earlier just a few moments ago about the word or. And or means light. Okay. Means flame. Okay. Because in Hebrew, light is a flame. You see? So the reason why Yah was picked is because he is the light of Yah. Yah chose him because Yah wanted to shed light on David. He wanted to show light on David. He wanted to bring out what David has been hiding from Yahweh. That which is hidden. David has been hiding something. So in this, Yah's given us this information so he can bring us all to an understanding so you won't be so quick to point your finger at David and say that, oh, he's a murderer, or he was this and this and that, and he was this and he was that. There's a reason why David was all those things, and Yah's going to bring it out to us. Yah chose David to bring light. That's why he's chosen his descendants after him. That's why when Yah puts David back into power, right, and bringing him and one of his descendants named David to be over the nation of Israel is to bring forth Yahweh's light and to bring forth the Torah and to bring forth the flame, because he is the lawgiver. Remember, we read in Isaiah chapter number 55, it says that I'm going to give the sure mercies that I assure to David, that I'm going to give them to you and make an everlasting covenant with you. That covenant is contingent upon light of the Torah. So Yah chooses to use this guy Uriah to bring out which was hidden inside of David's life. Okay. And this is why David is worthy to be the king of Israel. Okay. Because Yah's flame has to hit him. And you and I can learn from this that Yah is going to bring a flame and he's going to bring a light, right? So he can find out what's inside of us. And that's what the Torah does. Okay. He's a kitty. Well, I thought the kitties were the people that Yah says you need to get rid of. Okay. So the kitty, and here's the proper spelling up there, the kitty, that's their names. Okay. His name means, Uriah is this one called dismayed, shattered, to break, and to crack. Okay. That's what it means. That's what the kitty means, to be dismayed. When Israel was going in there to destroy the kitty, they were dismayed and they were shattered within themselves. Right. But Yah is choosing Uriah because he is Uri, the light of Yahweh, the flame of Yahweh, to bring this, because there's a fight now. The word kitty, in the word kitty is the letter ket, the first letter, a ch, which is this in Hebrew, ket. Ket is what? Do everybody know? Tell me, what is a ket? What does it represent in Hebrew, if you can remember?
The wall.
It's a wall. David sent Joab and the rest of Israel to go fight a war. And when they came there, they besieged it and they were going against the walls of that city. You understand? So now there's a different war going on. This war is in Jerusalem within David. And Yah has used Uriah to bring light to David, but also to bring David, to shatter David and to break down his walls and to put a crack in David's defenses. Okay, David has a problem and he has many problems. And we're going to find out what those problems are. See? So there's a reason why Yah chose Uriah. That's why his name is that. And the reason why he's a kitty is because Yah is telling you that it was about a wall that needed to be cracked, and I'm going to break it, and I'm going to shatter it, and I'm going to bring you to dismay, because now I'm about to break you. Okay? So in any type of war situation, there's always this idea of maneuvership. Now we found that David had sent for this woman, he inquired about, he brought her, and I didn't put this in here because we don't have so much time, that he said, bring her over to me. And he did. And he had sex with her. He had sex with her. And, he thought it was all done. She washed herself, went back home. 30 days later, she come back and sent a message again through the same messengers that she's pregnant. So what does Dawid do? He decides it's time for me to start doing what? I'm a king. I'm a master at war. I've been at war. I've killed people. I know I have strategy. So I'm going to create a maneuver now. I got to make a maneuver now. I got to hide because I'm hiding something. I'm at war. He doesn't even realize it, but he puts a maneuver in place. The first maneuver he does is he asks Yoav. Dawid sent this order to Yoav. Okay. Send me Uriah, the Gittite. Yoav sent Uriah to Dawid. And when Uriah had come to him, Dawid asked him how Yoav was doing and how the people were feeling about the war and how the war was going on. And Dawid said to Uriah, go down to your house and wash your feet. And Uriah left the king's palace and was followed by a present of food from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's palace with the servants of his master, and he did not go down to the house. Okay. That word go down means what? Yatsa. He didn't leave. He didn't go. You see, Dawid had a maneuver that he had is let me get to him before he gets to me. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to put up a false pretense as if I'm really concerned about this man. And I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to ask him. And this is generally what people do. This is something for us to understand. Often when we have conversations with people and you haven't seen them and they're just calling you out of the blue, you got to first understand, don't go in there with your eyes closed and your ears closed. Understand that sometimes, especially people that you really haven't spoken to, they have an agenda and they come in a false pretense. Okay. And this is one of the problems that was hidden inside of Dawid. Dawid was operating off a false pretense. He wasn't being transparent at all. It appeared to Uriyahu that he was, he really genuinely cared about him, but he didn't. This is something that's inside of us as well that we got to be careful about. A lot of times we put up an act and we act like we generally care about someone when we have other intentions. And the reason why he's doing this is so he can cover something. Okay. So even in that, there's a revealing that has to happen. I told you earlier that to dwell, that was the little bullet point that we had that we went into, to dwell. Well, that word dwell means to yashav. Yashav means to remain. Okay. This word right here has the same word as shuv in it, S-H-U-V, but that's shav versus shuv. Okay. And this means to remain and sit in place. So it means to return, to remain where you are. So now we see this idea of shuving, the idea of, sitting and remaining. By this man sitting here and remaining and him not going down to his house, right? Dawid said to Uriyahu, haven't you just arrived from a journey? Why don't you go down to your house? Uriah answered Dawid, the ark of Israel, the ark, Yisrael and Yehuda stay in tents. They remain in tents. They remain in tents. They stay in their tents. But my Lord, Yoav, and the servants of my Lord are camping in the countryside. So should I go? Meaning what? Yatsa. Should I go into my house and eat and drink and go to bed with my wife? Surely as I live, I will not do such a thing. You and I would often think that someone who's a kitty or someone who's a foreigner, or someone who's a stranger could not possibly have a greater desire to want to serve Yah and to remain with Yahweh. And it's not true. Here it is, Uriah was willing to go and to fight the war that Yah wanted him to fight. He was willing to stay and remain in the place that Yah wanted him. He wanted to be with Yahweh's people. He wanted to fight Yah's cause against Yahweh's enemies. And he was willing to remain in that place. He's a better man than Dawid. He's a way better man than Dawid in this case. Dawid stayed at home. Dawid ate and he drank. Dawid was sleeping. Dawid slept with his wife. And this man was a witness in the way that he lived. Often he doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he's a kitty. So we throw him out. Well, he's a kitty. He's dismayed in any way. And Yah said, get rid of him, kill all of them, and destroy him. But he didn't. He remained. So we can see that often the people that you and I want to destroy are often better than us in nature and character. This Dawid, he was better than Dawid. He was. Hear this. So this right here wasn't enough. Dawid tried to get him to shuv and return to his place, but he didn't. He remained. You see? So there's a positive here and there's a negative. Either shuv can be to return and go back to your present place and be restored back, or you can be looking like you, hey, I can remain in where I'm at. It's good sometimes to remain in certain situations, and often sometimes it's not good. Sometimes it's good to shuv, meaning return. And then when you get there, remain. So here, Uriah said he wanted to remain what? In a place of servitude to Yah and to be about the cause. And we could take from this that you and I should remain with that which is important to the Most High, that which is important to the house of Israel, and that's what's important to whatever tribes it is. That's what it is. And he wanted to remain with them. Okay. So Dawid comes up again, being a war king, right? That stayed home. He has a stratagem now. He has a scheme. Why am I saying this? Because often when we come into difficulties and we're trying to continue to hide what we're doing, we'll just come up with a stratagem. His next stratagem, his next scheme and plan is to do some inducements. His inducement is that, hey, stay here, Yashav, stay here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what you just told me, and I'm going to use what you said against you now. Now I need you to Yashav. He agrees with him. Do you see the sneakiness here? I'm going to tell you to stay here. That's what I'm going to tell you to do. Now you said you're going to stay. I'm going to use what you told me against you now. That's what I'm going to do. And now I want you to Yashav. You Yashav. Is that what you want? Okay. So you Yashav. This is stratagem. This is a plan. This is Dawid using his war skills. I need you to Yashav here tonight, today and tomorrow, and then I will let you leave. You see? Putting that authority on him, making him feel comfortable. Yeah, okay, well, okay, I'm going to let you do that, but you're going to leave when I tell you, okay? So Uriah stayed in Jerusalem that day and the following day. Dawid summoned him, ate and drank with him, and got him drunk. But in the evening, in Aref, he went out and he lay on his bed. His Lord's servants, and did not go down, Yatsat down to his house. Yah has kept Uriah, which is the light of Yah, the flame of Yah, is still there. Yah is constantly still trying to talk to Dawid. Dawid is using every possible scheme, tactic, and plan and inducements now to get out of the situation, to ignore what's before him. He's trying to escape. You see? And as we read in our Torah portion this week, there was a young man who's getting drunk all the time by inducements. The reason why a person chooses alcohol over the Torah is simply because they're trying to be induced so they don't have to deal with the reality of life. And the reality of that there has to be an order and a change. There has to be a certain method and way that you live your life. There's certain responsibilities that we have. And sometimes we can go through these inducements, this alcohol, these drugs, this sex, whatever it is that we do. It could be food. It's a way to kind of cover up and to get past it. So it's just another strategy. And this is Yah trying to tell us something. You need to understand that I understand what you're doing. The general that Dawid had is called Yoav, which I didn't put it in our conversation today through our slides. Well, Yoav is one of Dawid's commanders. And his name means Yahweh is Father. That's what his name means. Yahweh is Father. Yoav. Yahweh is Father. Very interesting. So you're telling me that Yah has light and Yah is the Father? Yes. So we have to open our eyes to the character. So now Yah has Dawid talking to Yoav to tell him, and he sends a secret message by this man. by Yah as our father. David completely forgot what this man name means. Okay. The secret message was this. Okay. Have someone else do it for me. You see, that's the message. It's not just kill Uriah and put him on the front line. It's not just that. The message is have someone else do it for me. You see, either you do it or you have someone else do it. Put him on the front line so he'll be killed. You see, this is something inside of us that Yah says that I want you to be aware of. That's hidden. This is something that's causing pressure on you. I'm going to get to you whether or not you think I am or not. You could come up with all kind of strategies, all kind of plans to try to get away from my light, and you could try to do whatever you can, but understand that I am your father, and I'm going to put light on your life, and I'm going to show you all the things about you that you don't even know. I'll keep you in a situation as long as I have to in order to reveal myself to you and what it is about you that needs to change. Finally, the mission was accomplished. David ended up getting this man killed by Yahweh's enemies. You see, he used Yah's enemies to kill his so-called enemy. But Uriah was innocent, completely innocent. He had nothing to do with anything. You see? So he completed the mission. He got the man killed. And after he gets him killed, he got the spoils of the war. So what does David do? When Uriah, the wife of Uriah, Uriah, I want to give him a proper name, Uriah, heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead. When the wife of him heard that he was dead, she mourned her husband. Somebody tell me how many days?
30.
30 goes with our Torah portion. After the woman lost her mother and her father, she's given time for 30 days. See? And when that time was over, David went and took her home to his place, his palace. And she became his wife. And she bore a son to him. But Yahweh saw that what David had done was evil. It was wrong. It was dysfunctional from Yahweh's perspective. Okay? So he believed now that he finally won this war. That's what he believed. He believed that I finally won this war. I got rid of my enemy. I got all my situations cleared. There's no problems now. I got it resolved. It's all done. Well, we're going to see something. And Yah's letting us know about this story because often you and I think that the war is over. And guess what? The war is not over. The war is just now beginning. Okay. Now, I know this might hit a little hard for a lot of us because it's the truth. You know, the final part is called lakam, and lakam means battle. Okay. That's what it means. That's what war means. It means battle, lakam. And it comes from the word lakim. Okay. And let me see. I'll write it right here. Those of you who know your Hebrew, tell me, I went, instead of lakam, I went to lakim. What's lakim? Anybody know in Hebrew? You probably eat it every. Yes, excellent.
So that was Lechem. So
Yeah.
so it's not Lakim. It's not Lechem. It's Lakim.
Yeah, well, either pronunciation. You could put a lakim on. You could
Because
put,
see, Lakim. When I hear Lakim, I hear it go with Yah.
yeah,
So
yes,
Lakim, like Lakim. You know, for y'all, for
Yes.
plural to go with Yah. So Lechem and
Yes.
Lakim. So
Yeah. Yes, I got you. I got you the lakim and lechem. I got you. So when you talk about lakim or lechem, then you're talking about what? I'm not talking about pronunciation. What are you talking about? You're talking about bread. Okay.
Cain.
Yeah, where's David from? What's the name? What's the city that he's from?
Is it Bethlehem?
Yes, but the name, what they call Bethlehem, is not Bethlehem. Okay. So they got Beth, but it's really daughter, right? Beth. Okay. I'm writing with my fingers, so forgive me for the slow writing. And then Lechem. Okay. Which is the house of what?
Bread.
The house of bread. Perfect. So that's where Dawid's from. But this word lechem comes from the word lecham. Okay. And lecham has to do with battle, but it also has, forgive my writing, has to do with that which is devoured, because that's what you do in a battle. You devour your enemy. Okay. Just like you would bread. Okay. So Yah is using this, right? This battle that Dawid's having within himself to get him to understand that, listen, there is a battle here and it's going to be in your house. Okay. Because this was, you're from this place, but I got to show you something about yourself. Okay. I got this Hebrew word up here called kamal. Okay. And kamal has to do with compassion and has to do with mercy. Okay. And so what we're going to find here is these words that Dawid was told by Yahweh. So Yahweh sent to Nathan. Okay. Nathan is a prophet that Yah sent, and Nathan names means to give, to Dawid. And he came and he said to him, in a certain city, there were two men, a rich one and the other poor. The rich man had vast flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing except for a little ewe lamb, which he had bought and reared. So he paid for it. And it had grown up with him and his children. It ate from his plate, drank from his cup, lay on his chest. It was like a daughter to him. Okay. I'm going to start right there and pause for a second and let you know that this is making reference to Uriah. And Uriah is the man. He's the poor man. And Dawid is the rich man. And the little ewe lamb is, what's her name? Bathsheba. Okay. We understand that the ewe lamb was raised or grown up with his children. So more than likely, Bathsheba wasn't Uriah's first wife. She was his second wife, because he raised her up. She grew up with him. He raised her up like she was a daughter to him, and he already had children. You see? So she was very important to him, right? He raised her up like a daughter. This is why he wasn't so willing to go back home and, and be with his wife. He already had a wife. He understood. He knew his responsibility. See? He knew that, fighting this war was more important than being home laying up with his wife. You see? So we see a difference in his character. This was a mature man. This wasn't really, a lot of times we think of these stories like he had to be a young man. He possibly could have been a middle-aged man. He could have been an older man. He already had children. And now he got this extra wife. Maybe his wife died. Don't know. It's not said. But what we can take from this is that he did have children, because this came from the prophet. And so she was like a daughter to him. So she was a younger woman. And so one day, a traveler visited the rich man. And instead of picking an animal from his own flock or herd to cook for his visitor, he took the poor man's lamb and cooked it for the man who had come to him. I want to speak to you a little bit about this idea of the traveler. The traveler is the other. Oh, here we go. Forgive me for the delay, writing something. The traveler is the hidden man. That's who the traveler is. Oh, I keep pushing this button, you guys, forgive me. Slowing my roll. Is the hidden man. All of us have it. The traveler was this desire, this hidden man in Dawid that had urges, like we talked about earlier in our Torah portion, and had desires and got hungry. That's why it wanted the lamb. That's why he was looking for what? He wanted to fulfill his hunger. See, it's that hidden person. That's the traveler. It's the one who's hiding. It's the other side of you that you really don't know, that you act like you don't know. That's there. Okay. And so it said he cooked it for the man who had come to him. Okay. So the rich man had a traveler. With Dawid, that traveler is the other side of Dawid, which in some cases you would say would be your evil twin. Okay. Your evil twin, the other part of you. But I don't call it the evil twin. What I call it is the hidden person. All of us have. It doesn't mean because he's a male that it just doesn't have. It's an in particular individual. Okay. So, and this traveler comes upon us when we have what you would call a hunger or an urge or a desire. And so the Most High wanted to let him know that I'm aware of what's going on. Okay. You don't know anything about it, but let me tell you about the power of the words. So when Dawid had heard this, Dawid exploded with anger. And he said, hey, as Yahweh lives, the man who did this, he deserves to die. This is what Dawid said. This is exactly what he said when Nathan brought this word from Yah. Okay. So he's thinking, I've got a word from Yah, but the word is not for me. It's for somebody else. The word to Yah for us is for us, everyone. I put up here that this is a mistranslation. And because mistranslations are misleading, you need to understand that Dawid did not say the man who did this deserves to die. He did not say that. If you don't know the Hebrew language, then you're not going to know what Yahweh said. Okay. I'm going to share with you the proper translation. Okay. It's in verse number 5. Here we see that David became angry. He was hot, and that's our word, wakar, right? Kar means anger, right? This right here is a ket. And this letter right here is a resh, which is the head, or man, means the man outside. The man outside is the one who gets hot, okay? Anger has to do with his nose, because when a person gets angry, their nose starts to flare. I like this in particular translation because it really breaks down what it means. He didn't put anger, he put the nose, was hot the nose. So Dawid began flaring. So this was an emotional response to what he just heard, okay? And Dawid against the man greatly. And he said, Wayomer, what did he say to Nathan? This is what he said to him. He says, alive is Yahweh, meaning as Yahweh lives, surely Bain Moth, the Haish, the Haoseh, the Zoth. So here, Ki Vain. It didn't say the man, surely the man shall die. He says, surely the son of this man will die for doing this thing. Haoseh. Haoseh means doing some participle. Okay. He didn't say, let this man die. He said, let the son of this man die. Now, let me ask you a question. Who died?
His son.
You got that right. Now, do you see why the translations are important? Because often this is a question that's brought up by many people because they don't read the text and they can't read Hebrew and they don't know the language and they don't know the culture behind the language. They say things as if Yah had killed the boy because of David's sin. And we know that according to what Yahweh has said in Deuteronomy chapter 24 in our Torah portion, verse number 16, it says that no man can die. A father can't die for a son's sin, and a son can't die for a father's sin. You see? So there's a translation problem. And when you get mistranslations, you would think that he's talking about a man. And no, he said, let the son of that man die. Dawid was being what they would call duplicitous. Okay. And this is the problem with us. Okay. Dawid said that I want you to let that person's son die for what he did. Listen, he says, for doing such a thing, he has to pay back 4 times the value of the lamb. Look what he says. And also because he has no pity, no kamal. He'd have no compassion. So Nathan said to Dawid, you are the man. You are the man. You see, here is what Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says: I've anointed you to king over Israel. I rescued you from the power of Sheol. And Yah goes on to tell about all the different things. He said, I gave you his house. I gave you his wives. I gave you Israel. I gave you the kingdom. I would have given you so much more. You see, but the bottom line is when a person is being duplicitous, okay, what they're doing is they have two sides to them. This traveler that you and I, that's traveling along with you and I, okay, that's what a traveler does. They're on a path, okay? That's what a traveler is. A traveler is one who's on a path, okay? Praise be to the living Elohim. Let me write it out for you so you can understand it. There's a, when you talk about the word, the name for traveler, what's going on? Traveler, okay? The traveler is one who's on a path. They travel on a path, okay? So this traveler that came to David was his desires. It was on a whole different path. You understand? Not the path of Yah, on a different path. Yah used the word traveler to tell David that he was on a different path. Completely different, okay? On the path, which you and I are going to get into, it has to do with this word rock, if I'm not mistaken, okay, which is a resh and a ket, okay? And in this word, you could put, it comes from the word ruach, ruach comes from this in particular root, okay, rock. And ruach, to be a wind or breath, okay, or a spirit, and it means to be on a certain path. So the resh right here in Hebrew, that's the name of the letter, has to do with the head of a man, which is a man, okay? This letter ket right here is the wall, okay, which is the man, all right, outside of the wall, right? Or the man outside, because the wall gives you a difference between the inside and outside. So the man who's outside, okay? So the man who's outside, all praise to the living Elohim, is the man who's on a prescribed path. The man outside is in charge of the livestock. The man outside is the one who's watering the sheep and getting the grain. The man outside is the one who's busy. The man outside is the one who's doing the things he needs to do. He's on a certain prescribed path. He has a certain way that he does things every single day. And generally, people who are on a prescribed path in a schedule have better outcomes and they have better lives, okay? And their mind is more focused, okay? David did not go outside to war that he's supposed to. So what he decided to do is to go on another path. And the path that David went on was a different path than what he should have been on. You see? And so if you look at this word rock right here, which is a resh and a ket, remember it said David got angry, which is a ket and a resh. You see? It's the opposite, right? The word kar means anger. That's what it means. To be angry. That's why David got upset. You see? So if you reverse those letters, okay, because kar is just a reversal of rock, just the opposite. I hope you can see that. Let me erase all this. So the traveler is the one who David listened to, which is the other side, to get him on a different path. And you and I sometimes could get caught up in that. So again, a ket and a resh is anger. Here is the resh and the ket, which is to be on a prescribed path. It's just a reversal of letters. So what Yah is letting us know is if you don't stay on this path, on a rock, on the ruach, and be on a prescribed path, more than likely you're going to get this. And this anger right here is fury. And the fury is called the flames of Yah because it's from outside. You're going to get that. You're going to get the judgment. Okay. So back to what happened is that David began to be a person who he's misleading not only the prophet, right? he is misleading himself. Often we worry about what we do to other people. But you need to understand that the biggest enemy and the biggest fight that you have and the biggest lie that you can tell is the one that you tell yourself. Okay. And you know why? Because people who do this, who are duplicitous, okay, are doing things, different things at different times, and they're acting totally different. They act the way they need to act. When you're around a prophet, the first thing you do is going to take on a position that I'm going to follow Yah, and I'm here to hear Yahweh's words. But the fact of the matter is that's not who you really are. Dawid was a sham. Dawid was a sham. Okay. And that's what he was. And often we're a sham. I put up this definition here, cognitive dissonance, which deals with the fact of a person who has these inconsistent thoughts and beliefs and attitudes, right? And especially when it has to do with that, has to do with behavior. I have some healthcare professionals on here that deal with mental health. That means that these people can't make up their minds. They want to be one way one day, and then the next day they want to be another. Prior to Dawid's fall, prior to this revealing of himself, prior to all these things coming out of him, prior to the lies and the scheming and the plans and the stratagem, prior to all these things, Dawid was 100 with Yah. Killing all of his enemies, going around, just busting people's heads open. People were singing his praises. He was so motivated. He said, I don't understand why Yah's living in tents. I want to build him a house. And the same prophet that delivered the message of do what's in your heart for Yahweh is the same one who brought the message to him and told him that you're the man. You're this person. You see? But there's a judgment. There's a judgment for these things and these behaviors. The judgment is that Yah has flames. You understand? And the flames are represented by that man called Uriah. He sent him into his life in order to bring light to who David is and what he was hiding. As a result of what happened, Yah says, I am now going to put a sword that will never leave your house because you have shown contempt for me. And you have taken the wife of Uriah, the Kiti, as your wife. Here's what Yahweh says, I will generate evil, ra, dysfunction against you, misery, pain that will come out of you, against you, out of Yatsa, out of your own household. You put this thing inside the house, it's going to come out of the house. You eat bad food, it's coming down your digestive system, and you're going to have to Yatsa. And it might be bad to the point where it causes so much pressure and pain that you can barely take it. I will take your wives before your very eyes and give them to your neighbor. He will go to bed with your wives and everyone will know about it. Why? Because you did it secretly. But I will do this before all Israel in broad daylight. Going back to what we talked about, that it was not in the afternoon when the sun was out. He did this at a time when it was secretive. And generally, when we start doing the stuff that we do is when nobody's looking. And you think that Yah doesn't know. It is going to take the flames of Yah to bring about the change and the judgment. Nathan told Dawid that Yah has forgiven you. Prior to him, prior to his prayer. Prior to it. Yah forgave, but there were still consequences. Which brings us to our final part about the surrender. You and I have to surrender. You and I are going to have to give up on the war against Yah. That's what it is. We're going to have to throw up the flag. David had won a lot of different wars. Never had a problem defeating anybody because Yah was with him. But one thing that Dawid did not really want to surrender was himself. He didn't want to give over that part. But he understood something. He came to his senses after the light of Yah, the flames of Yah has been brought upon him, even though he got the judgment and the verdict was put down about what I'm going to do to you. He accepted it and he began to write a praise to Yah. Praise has to do with your hands. Yad, from your hand. Because Dawid is from the tribe of Yahudah. Your hands. Praise has to do with confession. Praise has to do with speaking. Praise has to do with prayer. Praise has to do with making sure that you're just telling the truth. Praise has to do with acknowledgement. Often when we read the Psalms and Tehillim, you and I would be like, oh, well, this is a whole bunch of singing. No, it's a whole bunch of confessing. It's a whole bunch of I admit. And you can only come to this point when you're willing to move forward with Yah. Yah's not looking for praise and confession from somebody who generally doesn't understand who their traveler is. Yah was so gracious and kind to Dawid that he gave him a word and told him, I forgave you. But even in the forgiveness of Yah, there's still consequences. Tehillim 51 says this, for the leader, a psalm of Dawid, when Nathan the prophet came to him after his affair. So the same where we just left off, when Nathan was telling him that you're the man, immediately he took action. The boy died, but Dawid took out the time to write a song. A confession. This is a confession. It's not a psalm of praise, it's confession. Elohim, in your grace, we all need it. And he have mercy, because Yah is full of grace and he's full of mercy. That's part of his character. That's who he is. He's great in compassion. I told you earlier this week that the Torah portion was going to be about compassion. This is what it is. Dawid needed this. He needed Yah to blot out his crimes. He understood it wasn't just one crime, it's many crimes. Wash me completely from my guilt and cleanse me from my Kate, the times in which I've missed the mark and the things in which I've done and twisted in my rebellion. That word guilt right there is called pesha, and it has to do with that which is rebellion and revolt. Dawid understood that he was in revolt against Yah. I know my crimes. You and I know our crimes. He's being real. My sin confronts me all the time. It's in front of him all the time. It wasn't just this woman that was always in front of him for the rest of his life. He had to look at her and know what he did. He had a whole bunch of reminders. The people who saw the child die and who understood what it was, Nathan knew about it. Everyone knew about it. But this is what it takes in order to change. Yah has to reveal. And this is what he's done for the children of Israel. I'm going to reveal who you are. I'm going to show the world that you are the one who is hiding. You're hiding from me. You're hiding your sins. You don't think I know about them. I do know about your rebellion. He said, against you and only you only have I sinned, and I've done what is evil from your perspective. From how you see things, so that you are right in accusing me, justified in passing judgment on me. Yah had already told Dawid you were forgiven before he even said this. He already told him, Nathan told him, you're forgiven. Yah will forgive you, you won't die. But look at Dawid. Look at his heart. This is why Yah chose this man to be the leader over the nation of Israel. And this is the reason why he's sharing this story with us today on this Yom Shabbat, to let us know that Yah is compassionate. You may not show pity. You may not have kamal. You may not show chesed, but I am the living Elohim that will show compassion to those who don't deserve it. Dawid confesses, yes, true, Hine, it's true. I was born guilty. I was born a rebel. The moment I was born, I never was able to hit the target. Talked about how his mother conceived him. There it talked about how his mother got hot, like an animal, like she got hot. He said, I was conceived in that manner. Out of humanity's desire, like we read in our Torah portion about this sexual conduct, that burning, those urges that men get, those urges that women get. You and I got to understand that you and I have to bring these things under control, because if you don't get these things under control, they will control you. But even if that's the case, even though I got a desire and an urge, you still want truth. I know my truth, but I got to understand y'all's truth. Your truth is that you want the inner person to know what wisdom is. You want the very fibers of the humanity in their appetites, in their desires, in their thoughts, their mind. You need to know. Dawid says here, sprinkle me with hyssop. He uses the term hyssop because that's one of the elements that were part of what? The offerings that had to do with atonement. It had to do with purification. He's using this as an allegory to say, look, y'all, I want to be clean. And this is something that only you can do for me. I'm ready right now. I've been exposed. I want you to wash me. I want to be whiter than snow. He had to be broken to come to this point. I want to hear the sound of joy and gladness so that the bones that you crushed can rejoice. The moment that you and I go against the Most High, he is going to crush us. He is going to break us down. He will take away the joy. He will take away the laughter. He'll take away the dancing in front of him. He'll take it all away. Those are the things that should mean something to us. You want to be able to have some confidence when you stand before Yah, the living Elohim. You don't want to play games. I said earlier this week about it being human and playing human games with the living Elohim. Yah is not a man. He sees everything. And here in verse number 9, he begins to go into what they call an imperative. This is a desire and a wish and a command. I'm asking Yah, turn away your face from my sins. Even though I know you forgave me, I'm still asking that you would turn your face away from what I've done. I still want that which is in front of you to be blotted out. I'm ashamed of my behavior and my actions and my conduct and the way that I've lived my life. I'm ashamed of my secrets. But now that you revealed them, I can now say, hey, I'm open. Open me up so I can tell what my crimes are. That word create is not create, it's fill me. It's not bother. It doesn't mean create, it means fill. Fill me with what? A clean heart. Fill me, put it inside of me. Give me that which I need in order for you to be my Elohim. Renew me with a resolute, a steady spirit, not a shaky spirit, not a shaky way to say, a path that's uneasy or one that can be changed at any given time. I need what they call a resolute spirit. I need some steadiness about my way. He's not talking about his spirit like, oh, he's talking about the way that he lives his life and the path that he's on. Make what I do stable so I can walk in the way that you told me. Don't let me stumble in the path. Give it to me and let me stay on your path. I don't want to be thrust away from you. I don't want to lose that presence of you. I don't want to lose that connection because of my crimes. I don't have no joy outside of you. I need to be inside of your presence, Yahweh. Don't take away your Ruach HaKodesh away from me. That Ruach, again, has to do with that word rock. Don't take away the rock away from me. If it's Ruach, I can put a wa right here. Ruach. It's path. Don't take that path away from me. Let me travel down that path. Let me stay on your paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Don't take that away from me. Don't take away that set apart path. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be on my own path, because another path is called being ra, called being wicked. Wickedness is that which is on a whole nother path. You have left the path. Any other path outside of what Yahweh says is wickedness. I don't want to go on that path. I want the Ruach HaKodesh path. I'm not talking about a spirit coming over me. I want to be on your path, because when I'm on your path, I'm in your presence. Because you're with me when you're walking with me. I don't want to lose that relationship. So I'm asking you today to give me the compassion and the mercy and the grace that I need in order to walk with you in humility and in purity. I need you to restore. I need you to shuv. Return. That's what restoration is. Return me to joy of that which you've done for me. My salvation is not just me saying that somebody died on the cross for me. My salvation is all the times that you deliver me from my times of trouble, which is my czar, which is my pressure. My pressure comes from my enemy. One of the greatest enemies that you and I are faced with is ourselves. You're fighting the wrong people. You got your attention on somebody else. Your attention needs to be on you. And it needs to be on your walk and your path, because you are your greatest enemy. You are the biggest liar to yourselves. This is a command that he's asking y'all for, a desire and a wish. I need you to shuv, return my joy of your deliverance to me, and give me something that's willing. Let me walk on this with the willingness. That willingness right there, that word means nadav. Nadav means to be noble. And noble has to do with your character. How is it possible that I'm a king of Israel and I'm lacking the very necessity of being a noble man and a man of trust and confidence? And now I went out here and I did this thing in front of all these people and I brought shame to your name. I'm not fit to be a leader for Israel if I don't have willingness, if I don't have nobility. In order to be a noble person, you and I have to come with the willingness. Spirit, again, has to do with path. You got to be willing to walk on this path with the spirit of nobility and take what Yah has given to you and hold it true as if it's majestic, because it is. You should not want any other king to be your king but Yah David. Once you do this for me, then I will teach the wicked your ways, because I know what it means to be wicked. I know what the way is of wickedness. I've traveled that path, and it only took me one time to know what I had at risk and what I was willing to lose. I'm not willing to lose you, Yah. But if you do these things for me, I'm going to teach the wicked. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach sinners to return to you. I'm going to teach them the Torah. I'm going to teach them what your desire is for them. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to lamad. That word teach right there has to do with the root word called lamad. And lamad is the letter lamed, meaning to lead. It's a shepherd's staff. I'm going to apply this to them, and I'm going to push them in the direction they need to go, because I'm an expert in knowing what rebellion looks like. I know what it looks like. I've already fought this war, and I lost. The biggest war I've ever fought was a war against myself. And ultimately, the war that I have within me to not be willing to do what you told me. I wanted to ignore what you said. I was reading the Torah, and yet I ignored it because what? Because I had some desires and I had some urges, and I wanted to do things my way. But I want you to allow me to teach. Because if I can teach them, then also too, the sinners will what? Shuv. They're going to turn back to you. Everybody that's going waywards and everybody that's going away from you needs to come and return and be restored back to the place that they need to be. And the only way they're ever going to get that is if somebody teaches the wicked your ways. That's what it's about. It's about shuving, or returning. Because every wicked person is captive and they don't even know it. They're being led away out from where they need to be. They're not yeshaving. They're not sitting in their tent. And to be honest with you, shuv also has to do with called pressing. The shin, the first letter of that word shuv, means it's two teeth, means to press. From the two teeth of pressure. Means to press. And the last letter of it is called a bet. And the bet has to do with the home. Okay. I didn't write it. Yeah, bet. Has to do with your dwelling. Where you dwell in your tent. So if you're pressing, to shuv means to go and go back to your dwelling. That's what I want you to do. I need you to go back to your dwelling. I need you to press towards your dwelling. You see? That's what we need. That means you got to put forth some effort. So in order for you to get free, you got to get free first in order for you to press back home to your tent, to your dwelling. And that dwelling is Yahweh's place. That's where the dwelling's at. It's back in Yerushalayim. But I need you to rescue me from the guilt of shedding blood, Elohim, the Elohim of my salvation. Then my tongue will sing about your righteousness. You're a supreme master. Open my lips, and then my mouth will praise you. Why? Because you had compassion. We need Yah's compassion. Yah does not want sacrifices. Not for this. You couldn't hand Yah a sacrifice for a rebellion. Dawid knew that. It's not that Yah doesn't want sacrifices. Yah doesn't want sacrifices for this. Yah does not accept sacrifice for a rebellion. So it should tell all you Christians out there who's watching live, and those of us who still want to hold on to the New Testament, there's not a sacrifice that could be made for nobody's rebellion against Yah. There never has been a sacrifice for rebellion, and never will be. Because the Christian don't know. They say, for you don't want sacrifice. That's how dense they are. They won't even fully read this where it says at the end that you're going to delight in sacrifices. He's saying that you don't want sacrifices for what I've done. You don't accept sacrifices for secret rebellion. You do not accept sacrifices for scheming. You don't accept sacrifices for duplicitous behavior. You don't accept sacrifices for none of those things. Or I would give them, but you don't take pleasure in the burnt offerings of what? For that. My sacrifice to Elohim is a broken spirit. I have a crushed, not broken, smashed spirit. My life and the way that I was walking now has been crushed. There's nowhere else for me to go. You have broken me now, and I understand it, and I need you to heal me, and I need you to bring me back. Elohim, you won't spurn a broken, a smashed, and crushed, and a chastened mind. You won't put that off. You won't push that away. You won't despise that. In your good pleasure, make Zion prosper. Rebuild the walls of Yerushalayim. Then you will delight in righteous Zedekiah sacrifices, in burnt offerings, whole offerings. Then they will offer bulls on your altar. So Yah looks for sacrifices, but the sacrifices that he's looking for are different than what we're willing to give. The sacrifice that Yah wants from his people is for us to be broken. And the only way that you and I are going to ever be broken is we have to allow Yah's light to reveal in us what is going on. Ask Yah this week and today to show you, bring light to you about what it is about you, not nobody else, that he has a problem with. Ask him with sincerity. Come to your end and ask him. I'm not asking you to go to do an altar call so you can come back and do it again next week. I'm not asking for that. Yah's asking us for us to be transparent. Next week, we're going to be in chapter number 26 of Devarim, which they call the book of Deuteronomy. Chapter 26, verse 1, 26 and 1 through 29 and 8. And your Haftarah will be chapter 60, verses 1 through 22 of Yashayahu, which is the book of Isaiah. That's your Torah portion for next week. But I want you to understand today that Yah has revealed to us through our king, Malkenu, because that's what Malkenu means, our king, Dawid. Yah says that I'm going to bring him back, not through resurrection from the dead. I'm going to bring him back through what? A descendant. And this king, his name will be Dawid. This king will be the one who will lead you and be a lawgiver to you. This king is the one that I've chosen. This king will be the one who will be open and transparent. This king will be the one who's willingly given his mind over to me. That's his offering. And why Dawid? Because he's perfect. I don't need a sacrifice from a man on his life to say that he lived a perfect life and he healed a couple of people and he gave out food to a whole bunch of people and he cast out demons. I'm not looking for a man like that. I'm not looking for a magician. I'm not looking for a man to have 12 people following him, going around and doing the same magic tricks. I'm not looking for a man like that. I'm not looking for a man to be over my people who has pride and arrogance and who stands taller than them. And they will be bent by what they want to do versus what I want them to do. I chose Dawid because Dawid is a man after my own mind, not my heart, my mind. Meaning that he's given himself over to my mind and not his own. This is the king that will walk among you. And this is the one who's going to lead you to me. This is the one who's going to shepherd your heart. This is the one who's not going to stay at home and stay on his path. This is the one who's going to stay on my path. So he can lead my people to the place they need to come to, a place of security and a place of victory and to conquer all of my enemies, because I have enemies and so do you. But you cannot defeat any other enemies that you have until you defeat the one that's within you, which is yourself, which is the one who is in rebellion against me. You will lose this battle. I just want you to know that you're going to lose. And when you come to your end, it's okay to lose, because now that's what surrender is about. I need you to surrender to me, that I am the king of the universe. I need you to surrender to me, that every way that I've ever said was right. I need you to surrender to me, that you agree to everything I've said. I need you to surrender your thoughts to me. I need you to surrender your desires to me. I need you to surrender your finances to me. I need you to give me everything. I need to surrender. That's what I need. Because if you don't surrender to me and I've offered you shalom, I'm killing you. And I'm going to destroy you because you are an enemy of mine. You need to surrender. That's why I brought my light to you, for you to surrender. Any remarks, contributions, statements? Everybody went to sleep on me, huh? I know it's tough. Well, I say hallelujah. Praise be to the living Elohim. I was able to accomplish this in a 2-hour period, which is awesome. I didn't think I would be able to get through it, but I did. So glory to our King. Hallelujah. Today, we will be having our Hebrew class again, starting at 4 o'clock. And we'll take off where we left off. Hallelujah. It's so good to see everyone on. Good to see you, Anthony. Good to see you, all of you. Claudia, it's good to see you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Hallelujah. You guys have a wonderful rest of your Shabbat, and I'll see you a little bit later.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Hello.
Shabbat shalom.
Hey,
Sorry, my Shareth. Yahutz.
teacher.
Yes, yes.
David, according to the law, shouldn't he have been stoned for what he did along with her?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see Yah's compassion.
Yeah. Even though he had his son Absalom go against him
Yeah.
in his own house, like it said.
Yeah, he slept with his wives publicly and everything. It was terrible. So his consequences. But Yah forgave him. So forgiveness doesn't mean without consequence. There are consequences, but it was something that was necessary for us to understand.
Just
Yah
like,
has used. Huh?
just like duality. It's similar to duality. You have, the person that you claim to know, and then that person that you claim not to be aware of, even though you really might know.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Excellent point. Aki, this is excellent. That's what he's talking about. That's that dual personality. That's that double-mindedness, and we all of us have that, and we're unaware of. It's the traveler. It's the person that you and I are not paying attention to. It's like he or she is living a way that they want to live, but they're not really, they're not being, it's weird. It's like, when can we be honest with ourselves?
Right.
It's not only till the light of Yah comes in that we can have that honesty and have that honest conversation.
Well, me and you talked about this some time ago, and I've had that conversation.
Yeah, me too. And it's a tough one. It's one of the toughest conversations you'll ever have. Yes.
Stuff you did, you try to forget, it'll creep in your dreams and all kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely. You got to be aware of it. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Prince Mashareth from my service. Prince Sar Mashareth. Yehusadak? Yahoo? Guess the prince is not available. What's up, Mark?
What's going on, brother?
Shalom.
That was a great lesson, man. You really killed it on that one.
Oh, thank you. It's his doing, Praise